Let's see if this fucking seagull will eat this cup of soup that I filled with bicarbonate of soda. Watch the fucking webbed foot wanking fucking wing ass shitehawk thing blow up!
The doctor is back in the office today. We're going to be doing a full UFC 321 Aspinall versus Cyril Gane card breakdown. Tom Aspinall going for his first official title defense as a UFC heavyweight champion against Cyril Gane, who doesn't even deserve to be here. But that's besides the point. We have a banger of a card. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Some banger prelims, some amazing fights on the main card. It's going to be a great show. And it's an early, it's an early start because it's out there in Saudi Arabia. So it's nice. You don't have to stay up till fucking 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, watching, breaking down this card. But we're starting off with the prelim opener of Jacqueline Amorim versus Mizuki Inoue. I actually nailed that right. This is one of those fights that is about as a banger as it gets. A prelim opener of women's MMA is about as good as it gets between two girls who aren't particularly that good. Mizuki hasn't fought in like 2 years. She has no big wins. She does fight out in New York City, so shout out. She looks like a New Yorker, in all honesty. Amorim's her only loss in the UFC and as a professional was to Sam Hughes. The first fight we ever broke down on this channel was Sam Hughes versus Shauna Bannon. So shout out to Sam Hughes. But Jacqueline Amorim, she's a solid grappler. She has a size advantage in this fight in terms of 4-inch reach advantage. She's won her last 4 fights in a variety of ways. I think she had an armbar finish, a rear naked choke, and then also a ground and pound TKO somewhere in there. Normally, I don't like to do this, and this is a rare occurrence for me, but I'm picking the first fight not only to be a finish, but I'm going to take Jacqueline Amorim by sub in round 2, and that's very rare for me to pick a finish in women's MMA, specifically the first fight. Whenever you get that first fight as a women's MMA fight, I rarely pick that finish, but I'm confident Jacqueline Amorim's going to get another win and continue to build a nice, solid resume for her. Next fight up the card is Azat Maksum versus Mitch Raposo. Mitch Raposo's fucking awful. I don't really even know how this dude's in the UFC. Who does he know? Listen, the Andre Lima loss a year ago is not a bad loss. Andre Lima's a decent prospect. But in the other fight before that, he literally didn't do shit. He throws no output. And he's been, 0-2 in the UFC. Looked bad in his last fight. Really is going to do nothing special. But he is 27 and he's from America, so the UFC keeps him around. You know what I mean? The only thing that worries me here for Maksum, or Azat Maksum, is that he came in, I think, a pound overweight for this fight. Fucking what? Actually, might have been a couple pounds. I don't forget. But he's 1-2 in the UFC, and his only losses are to Charles Johnson and to Tagir Ulanbekov, who Tagir's ranked. Those are 2 good losses. He almost beat Tagir Ulanbekov, but he also knocked down Charles Johnson. I think, his reach advantage in this fight's really going to be the key. He also can defend whatever shit Mitch Raposo takedowns that he throws, and he can win all of the big grappling exchanges, and also just overall throw a lot more volume than Mitch Raposo is really going to throw. Again, I don't really see this fight being super exciting. I don't understand why Mitch Raposo's in the fucking UFC. I'm going to take Azat Maksum by 30-27, 29-28 decision. This isn't going to be a fight you're telling your grandkids about. I'll leave it at that. Neither one of these dudes particularly special. But Azat, he's got losses to legit guys, so that honestly puts it over. Mitch Raposo's awful. It's as easy as that. And the first fight that actually is going to make, your balls tingle a little bit. Your hair on your arm to come up. You get a little bit of goosebumps. Chill down your spine. Chris Barnett, Beast Boy, versus Hamdi the Hammer, Abdelwahab. What a fucking matchup. Chris Barnett, this guy's a meme. I feel like a lot of casuals definitely know who this dude is. He's just that big fat guy who threw that one spinning wheel kick and also blew out his foot jumping before in his last fight because he got so excited. Listen, I actually don't think this is going to be an exciting fight whatsoever. Chris Barnett, this dude's almost 40. And he isn't good. He's had a lot of injuries to his knees and his feet. Mainly fat and diabetic related because he can't hold his weight down. I'm stunned that he even made weight for this, like that he wasn't over the limit that much. This is going to be a beautiful blob fight. Chris Barnett, again, he's old. Hamdi, really, all his legacy in the UFC is just beating up on bums, and I don't think he's good either, but he can grapple, and Chris Barnett is a 5'8", 400-pound man, which isn't healthy whatsoever. If you want to look at if you're a foreigner and you want to look at kind of peak American physique of what it should not be, look at Chris Barnett. This guy is so fat, and it's concerning. Now, I will say, in the and some of the pictures I've seen before the fight, I think he has lost a little bit of weight. Maybe it was just the angles, but he looked a little slimmer. I think Chris Barnett, he could always win this fight just by pulling out some bullshit like a spinning back kick, you know, to the head. Fluke will win. That's really the only way he beats shit can heavyweights. None of the people he's beat are anything special. Again, he has diabetes. He got so excited in his last fight when he was jumping that he literally ruptured every single ligament, tendon, cell in his foot, and he literally couldn't fight. I think it was against Kennedy Njoku. Sorry if I butchered your last name, Kennedy. But this guy's nothing special. He hasn't fought in, let's see, when was the last time he hasn't fought? It's been 2 years? Not even, feels like 2 years. It's only been 11 months. But I don't think Chris Barnett would be a serious pick if I took him. And I don't have much to say about Hamdi because, truth be told, I haven't watched this dude that much. I just know he's a lot bigger. And he's just not as shit as Chris Barnett. So I'm going to take Hamdi Abdelwahab by decision. Again, I also could see a world where Hamdi wins by Chris Barnett going into cardiac arrest in the stool in the second round. That's also a possibility, but we're going to stick with the decision, give some respect to Chris Barnett. Up the card, we go to Jose Miguel Delgado versus Nathaniel Wood. This is going to be a banger, and I know bangers. You're talking about bangers. This is going to be a banger. I think it's a really close fight, 50-50. Nathaniel Wood is, he's legit. He's very technical. He's been in the UFC for a minute. I think he's 9-3 in the UFC. Has a decision win over Charles Jourdain, beat Andre Philly, and then beat Morgan Charrier. I think that's how you say that French dude's last name in his last fight. He's very good. He's sharp. He's technical. But he kind of, the issue with I have in terms of picking him is he lacks that X factor in terms of finishing power. And he's also kind of small for the division. 5'6", he's kind of the perfect bantamweight size, but he's kind of a midget for the featherweight division. He's fighting a dude in Jose Delgado who's 5'11" with a 73-inch reach. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's a massive featherweight. Again, Delgado's 27 and he's in his prime. It's a 5-year age difference. I think Delgado, he's so much better in the chaos. He can really push the pace on Nathaniel Wood. And again, my big problem with Nathaniel Wood is, he's been around for a minute, but he always just leaves a little bit more to be desired in terms of, wanting that finish from him. I could see him mixing in the wrestling and using calf kicks early, but I think Delgado is just so much faster than him. He's going to push a really strong pace in this, and he has so many wild finishes. He's got a good knee up the middle, and he has such a variety of ways that he can win in terms of submissions or just with his hands. He's just flat out nasty. That's really all I could say about this guy. I think he's going to be a lot better in the high pressure intensity scraps, and Delgado he's just that guy. I've always liked this dude. He's 2-0 in the UFC. I think he's going to win by finish. Nathaniel Wood hurts guys, and he is very sharp technically, but he, again, lacks the X factor in terms of finishing ability. I think Delgado is just going to put him in bad spots and win by round 2 TKO on the ground. That's where I'm leaning. Should be a good fight, though. Again, the prelims for this card are really solid. And yeah, up the card we go to Walter Walker versus Louis Sutherland. Let me tell you something about Louis Sutherland. This dude in the LFL, I think that was the promotion he was in before, absolutely juiced, jacked to the fucking wazoo. I mean, he looked like a bodybuilder. And technically, I guess you could still say he looks like a bodybuilder currently, but without any of that real muscle definition. He also had his last fight canceled because Justin Tafa is fat, who's equally as fat as Louis Sutherland, but he's even fatter. And Louis Sutherland kind of has the build of King Robert from Game of Thrones Season 1. That's a poll. He was definitely using steroids in LFL and can't use them anymore, so now he just kind of looks like a washed-up bodybuilder who's kind of starting to get fat. Walter Walker is that guy at heavyweight, though. I mean, they just keep feeding this dude shit cans. Was supposed to fight Muhammad Usman, but then Usman got popped for, like, steroids or some shit. Shocker, an Usman brother, probably using steroids. He's on a 3-fight heel hook submission win streak. And again, Louis Sutherland's nothing special, so I just smacked my lips really aggressively there. He's nothing special. He's kind of a can. I'm just going to go leg lock submission in the first round. I guess there's always a world where, Louis Sutherland fucking flukes a I don't even know what he could fluke. He's not good. I'm not. Fuck that. Walter Walker's massive, bro. 6'6" with a 78.5 reach. He's just a beast, bro, and he's gonna get another win. Hopefully, he fights somebody eventually who's like an actual name and could slightly test them. But whatever. Moving on to my favorite fight of the prelims, I would say Mateusz Rebecki versus Ludovic Klein. Banger of a fight. I was kind of 50-50 on it when I first saw it, but I'm not. I'm gonna go with Ludovic Klein. I don't know how much more damage Rebecki can take. Every fight, last 3 fights he's been in have been absolute wars. He's 4-2 in the UFC. He's coming off that absolute banger against Chris Duncan at the Tyra Park card, that fight night in the Apex. He also got finished by Diego Ferreira 2 fights before that, and then had a crazy split decision win over Orolbai. But he took a lot of damage in that fight too. So he's on 3 straight real wars. One of them where he got finished, and I'll say this, maybe it's a bit of a weird take, but if you're Rebecki, you'd almost wish you got finished early in that last fight than take on all the extra damage that he took against Chris Duncan. I just think has taken way too much damage for me to feel confident picking him. I think Ludovic Klein, he's really technical. He's a better boxer. I think both these dudes grappling can kind of negate each other. And Ludovic Klein's coming off a loss where he really did get dominated by Gamrot in the grappling game, but Gamrot's really that guy in the grappling. I mean, outside of Charles, how many people have really fucked him over in the grappling? I just think Ludovic Klein's a lot more sharp. I think I could see Rebecki really pushing the pace early and be aggressive, but I think he's a little bit predictable in terms of his striking, in terms of how he's maneuvering around the cage, in terms of the circle. I just said in terms of 5 times, in the way he's moving around the octagon. Again, just the technicality and technical ability of Ludovic Klein. I'm just going to take him there. He can control the pace. He has a big reach advantage in this fight, a 6.5-inch reach advantage, despite being the same height. Better striker, just better overall fighter. And I think he can also use his knees up the middle to slow down Mateusz Rebecki. I'm going to go with Ludovic Klein by round 2 TKO. What are the people of Tapology saying? No, see, a lot of people leaning Klein by decision. I like to pick finishes. I think this could be a finish card. And another one, again, the prelims keep coming on this card. Ikram Aliskerov versus Junho Young Park, the Iron Turtle. And it pains me to say this, I think I'm going to pick against the Iron Turtle. Ikram, he's just got better finishing potential. Iron Turtle's kind of old. I mean, he's coming on. I'm not that Ikram's some fucking spry young chicken, but Junho Park's, getting close to 35. And it sucks to pick against the Iron Turtle because I really do love this dude. What was his last loss? Oh, the Andre Muse split decision. But he's kind of a decision, dude. He had that streak where he had, I think, 3 straight wins by rear naked choke 3 years ago. But I can't really see him. I can't really see him dominating Ikram Aliskerov in the grappling exchanges. And also one more note on the Iron Turtle. He kind of looks like he just looks like a wholesome, bald Asian dude who looks like he'd serve you up the meanest and best Chinese food you've ever had. And that's despite him being set from South Korea. I know someone might say that was xenophobic or racist, but it's true. He does look at him. He looks like such a wholesome Asian guy. It really sucks to pick against him. Listen, Ikram Aliskerov, his only loss is the Bobby fucking Knuckles. And you could say whatever you want about Bobby Whitaker, about him being washed. Can you really say Robert Whitaker's washed? Because the more I hear people talk about that, he almost finished RDR. And I know that hasn't aged great because RDR just looked like absolute shit against Brendan Allen. But Robert Whitaker can still scrap with the best of them, even if he isn't the same Robert Whitaker that we saw, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But I just see this being more of a stand-up fight, and the Iron Turtle, he doesn't have kind of that finishing and great power in his hands, despite how much output he's going to throw. I think Ikram's going to put him away in the second round with kind of a 1-2, and then get him against the fence, and then just finish him on the ground. I only think Iron Turtle wins this fight if he flukes a submission or a finish late in round 3. That's it. I think he either wins this fight by round 3 finish, or he doesn't win it at all. That's all I have for him. I'm going to go with Ikram Aliskerov by round 2, ground and pound TKO. It's been a lot of round 2 ground and pound TKOs. Up the card, we go to the feature prelim fight of Nasrat Haqparast. Haqparast. I should have pronounced saying his name beforehand. Excuse me, I'll just call you Nasrat. And then Quillan Salkilld. There we go, there's a name I know. Now I'll say this about Quillen Salkilld, guy. This guy, Quillen Salkilld has one of the nastiest mullet mustache combos I've ever seen personally in real life. I don't really know what impression I'm doing right now, but it does sound pretty good. I love Quillen Salkild's TikTok edits. He's kind of like a Drew Dober mini in terms of how many minorities he's finished in the UFC. Funny enough, Nasrat, he got finished by Drew Dober in round 1. I love Quillen, but I think Nasrat has enough pedigree and is a really big jump up in competition. He's fought a lot of names, and he's just a tough out, and he's good. I really want this to be wrong, and Quillen Salkilld can win this fight, because I really like him. I think he's really talented. He's only 25. Listen, Nasrat, he went to decision with Bobby Green when Bobby Green wasn't fucking washed. Went to decision with, Dan Hooker. He lost those fights, but he also beat Jared Gordon and Esteban Rijovic in his last 2 fights. He's been training with Ayman Zahabi at TriStar. So that's a legit gym that produces real talent. And Ayman Zahabi, you could say whatever you want about him. I don't like him, but he is, he's solid. Again, Nasrat, he's got solid power. He has good takedown defense, so I think that's really going to hurt Quillen Salkilld. Quillen, I just don't think he's on that level yet. This is a short notice fight where you're flying for Abu Dhabi. I don't think that's easy for him, and I'm worried that Nasrat's going to push the pace on him, and Quillen's really not going to be able to do anything about it. Quillen, again, I do think he's extremely talented and has a lot of tools in his toolbox in his shed, but this is a tough fight. I think it's too big of a competition for him. I think he's going to need a finish, and I think this is a tough guy to finish. And I also think it's going to be hard for him to get takedowns and get control time on Nasrat. He's got really good takedown defense. And if he can't get a finish, I don't really see him winning. I don't think he's going to win this by decision. I would be very surprised if Quillen Salkilld won this fight. I just think Nasrat is better. That's really the bottom line. I think Quillen Salkilld, you'll be there one day, but you're not there yet. So whatever. And you know what? I'll say this about Quillen Salkilld. If you want to pick him, maybe you go, oh, Nasrat, he's Afghanistan. He's an Afghani. And Quillen Salkilld just puts out minorities. That wasn't racist. Look up all his fights. So that's really the only reason I'd say he could win this fight, is because Nasrat Haqparast is a minority. That's really it. That's the only reason I would pick him. Moving on to the opener of the main card, Alexander Rakic versus Azamat Murzakanov. What a fucking fight. And when this was first announced, I went, Azamat's going to win. Rakic hasn't had a highlight or a finish in the UFC since 2019 in the Reebok era. That's how long it's been. And I like Rakic. His prime was good. He's washed out. He's lost 3 in a row. But his last 3 losses are a good comp. He lost a decision to Magomed Ankalaev, lost a decision to Jan Blachowicz, and then was beating Yuri Prohaska's ass until Yuri Prohaska got all the power from the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ himself and God, and fucking brutally finished Alexander Rakic. So what are you going to do? Nobody can finish Yuri Prohaska, so there's no real shame in that. He was beating up on him. Azamat, he put away Alonzo Menafield in one of his fights, and then his last one was against Brenson Ribeiro. He also has a win over Justin Jacoby. Again, Azamat Murzakanov looks like a fucking homeless, bald, in this picture I know he's not bald, homeless, bald, pedophile Volk. That's my take on him. He's 5'10", he's really small for the division, he's pretty much a middleweight. I just think this is a big jump in competition for him. Like, Brenson Ribeiro sucks. Like, he isn't good. I know Rakic leaves it close a lot of time, but he literally, his last fight was 29-20. He lost to Magomed Ankalaev, who was the champ. So, taking that into account, I'm going to pick him to win by decision. I think Murzakanov, he does have good grappling. He can kind of neutralize, Rakic in that part of Rakic's game. Rakic, who the fuck cares? But I think the reach advantage of Alexander Rakic and the fact that he has real pedigree in this division and is a lot bigger is really why I'm gonna pick him. I think he's gonna beat up Azamat with leg kicks, just land shots from range. This is probably gonna be a boring fight, honestly. I'm not really super excited about it, but I kind of want Rakic to win simply because everybody's just picking Azamat Murzakanov, even though if you look at, actually, a lot of people are picking Murzakanov to win by a finish. And the only thing that worries me is Rakic, he leaves fights close, And he also has kind of a shit chin at this point in his career. But, and he fumbles a lot of fights where he's winning, and then he'll just do something stupid. But I'm taking the risk that Alexander Rakic is going to be able to edge out Azamat Murzakanov, because Azamat Murzakanov is a midget and hasn't beat anybody, and it's too big of a competition jump. So I'm going to go with Alexander Rakic by 29-28 decision. This is not going to fight you're going to write home about, but whatever. Now we're moving on to kind of when the main card. I get excited. Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. Qui-Gon Volkov sporting that new hairstyle. He looks beautiful. Let's shock the world, Qui-Gon. Let's shock the fucking world. Even though I think this is a pretty 50-50 fight. I'm super excited for this fight. I think it's going to be close. I think logically, the logical pick is to take Jailton Almeida. Because when he's got such a dominant grappling where he can really land takedowns from everywhere. But I think Alexander Volkov has really shown improved takedown defense in his UFC career. He's 12-5 in the UFC. You know, he has wins over Sergey Pavlovich, Rosenstrike, finished Tai Tuivasa, you know, beat a washed Overeem in there, lost to Cyril Gane. He should be the one fighting Tom today in the rematch. But also Jailton Almeida, I think he's 8-1 in the UFC, and his only loss is to Curtis Blades. And he also has wins over like Derek Lewis and Rosenstrike and Spivak too. But listen, I really want Alexander Volkov to win just so it feels right, so it kind of balances out, you know what I mean? Again, Jailton Almeida is a great wrestler, but I do think Alexander Volkov's improved kind of grappling in general. He showed in that Cyril Gane fight where he took him down and has good takedown defense. I just don't. The only person who's really dominant Alexander Volkov was the Tom Aspinall when he subbed him in round 1. I think I could see a world where Jailton Almeida really makes quick work of Volkov in the first round, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Alexander Volkov's just a beast. I think this guy's a beast. Jailton Almeida, he doesn't really do a ton of stuff on the ground. Like in terms of, does he have a ton of tools in his tool bag to finish you on the ground? I don't really think so. I think Alexander Volkov is so big. I mean, Tom Aspinall, who said it, he thinks Volkov's more like 6'9" than 6'7". But I think it'll be a super competitive fight. I could see Almeida kind of landing a takedown early and dominating round 1. But I think outside of that Aspinall performance, Alexander Volkov's just really tough to dominate, especially early. I think Volkov outstrikes him on the feet, shows levels to it, is going to land that, you know, front kick, then just start landing punches and walk Jailton Almeida down. Almeida, he also shoots. I saw Tom Aspinall talk about this with Paul Craig. He shoots from so far away, and that can kind of, it can work against shittier can heavyweights, but not an animal like Alexander Volkov, who has good takedown defense. And I was leaning between Volkov by decision or Volkov by KO, and I'm going to go round 3 KO. I think he's going to do it. I think Volkov's going to put on a statement. I kind of like him as a little bit of a slight underdog. In terms of who I'd want to win for the future of the division, I think Jailton Almeida gives a better fight to Tom Aspinall and is a little bit more intriguing as fans, even though I'd say Volkov's a bigger name than Jailton Almeida. But I think a Volkov rematch with Tom Aspinall would essentially go the same way. You know what I mean? Even with Volkov maybe being a slightly better, you know, grappler offensively and defensively, and his takedown defense improving, I still don't think it's really going to matter against Tom Aspinall. But I think Jailton Almeida fight would at least be interesting because Jailton Almeida has a bit of a clear advantage over Tom in terms of his wrestling and grappling. But again, I think Volkov's just going to get him late, round 3, end of round 3, walk him down, the front kick, 1-2, start walking him down, and then just get him against the cage and just beat his ass and finish him. But I'm really excited to fight. Even if Jailton Almeida wins, I'm not going to be pissed. I'd be interested to see this dude get a title shot because he does have that really aggressive and tenacious kind of grappling style. Up the card we go to the feature fight of the main card. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista, please save us. How funny would it be if Mario Bautista won this fight? I almost want to pick him as troll, as a meme. But then I remember it's fucking Mario Bautista, who really hasn't beat anybody. His best wins are against washed Jose Aldo, and fucking Patchy Cement Mixer. And he went to the decision with both of them. He didn't even finish them. And I remember when this fight was first announced, like fresh, you know, relatively close to when he beat Patchy Mix. I was like, Mario Bautista, you give Umar some problems. And he can. You know, he can make it scrappy. He's good, Mario Bautista. Don't get me wrong. And he also has wins over Damon Blackshear, who sucks, but is a name. And beat Ricky Simone, which is a decent win. But I just don't think he's good enough, even with the problems that he can create. I think it goes to the decision. I'd be surprised if this was a finish. I think we're really going to see a really solid technical bantamweight fight with some really nice takedowns and grappling exchanges. Maybe a couple scraps in there where Mario Bautista gets in the face of Umar. But I think Umar is really good with his front kicks and kicks from range. He's going to land a lot of takedowns and I think kind of drown Mario Bautista out as this fight goes on. I could see Mario Bautista taking that first round. Who knows with Umar? I really don't know. Again, I think there's been a lot of, people discrediting Umar and kind of shitting on him for kind of being a scumbag, don't get me wrong. But this guy almost beat Merab. People forget, man. Not really. It's his one crowning achievement. He also beat Corey Sandhagen. But if you almost beat Merab and are legitimately, in my opinion, the only real threat to Merab, how the fuck would you lose to Mario Bautista? Unless Mario Bautista is leveling up so much since the last Patchy Mix fight, where he couldn't even finish Patchy Mix or wash Jose Aldo, then I don't really feel confident picking it. Like, it's fucking Mario Bautista. He's not there yet. And I don't think he'll ever be there. I'm not taking a scumbag like Mario Bautista, who beat one of my goats, Jose Aldo. Umar gave Merab a run for his money. That can't be forgotten. I'm going to take Umar by decision, either 30-27 or not submission, 30-27 decision. That's maybe 29-28 if Mario Bautista can kind of come out and take that first round. Moving up the card to the co-main, I truly don't give a fuck. I don't even want to lie to the viewers. Dean Thomas said this was the most useless, low-stakes title fight ever, and he's right. Like, Zhang Weili moves up to fight Shevchenko. Like, nobody cares about Vina Jandiroba or Mackenzie Dern. They only care about Mackenzie Dern because of her ass. I just said it. Don't cancel me. I think this is a rematch from 5 years ago. They fought in 2020. Mackenzie Dern won. Listen, I've actually kind of flip-flopped on my pick. I don't really want to give you much, like, actual fight analysis of this because I don't even want to waste time on this fight. I personally don't give two shits about either of these women. The one thing, they've really been pushing a lot of Mackenzie Dern on Embedded. The cameramen really seem to keep getting nice shots of her ass, like the fucking pedophiles that they are. I'm leaning Virna Jandiroba. She has nice she can get takedowns. She can get control time against Mackenzie Dern. I think she's kind of stronger and she's on a really nice win streak. Mackenzie Dern, really all I can say about her is she's hot. She's got legit grappling. She has legit BJJ. And I think Virna Jandiroba, she kind of just looks like a lesbian Chiwiwis / Max Holloway. And I think she's a little bit more focused. I kind of like that she looks more like a dude. Gives me a little bit of confidence. And again, in all honesty, I don't really give a fuck who wins this fight. It has no interest on me. It's probably going to be a pretty boring 5-round fight. The fact that this is 5 rounds is painful because I really don't want to watch this. This is the fight that's holding back this card. I don't mean to shit on these women because they are very talented. But like if we just had a better co-main, I'd be so much more excited. I'm still excited, but Mackenzie Dern versus Virna Jandiroba doesn't really get me up out of bed. That's not going to stop me from cooking. I'm probably going to cook during the middle of this fight. Again, UFC wants Mackenzie Dern to win. She's hot. She's kind of American. I know she's like half Brazilian, half American. And Jandiroba's kind of ugly, and nobody really cares about her. Mackenzie Dern, I'll say this. Her losses in the UFC are to like women who can actually knock your head off and punch your face in. Virna Jandiroba, I don't know if she has that, though. Even though I might have just said I'm taking Virna Jandiroba by decision. I've really flip-flopped on this because I know the UFC wants Mackenzie Dern to win. And Virna Jandiroba, I can't have like a fence sit between these two. I don't think either one, I don't care. Fuck it, I'm just sticking with my guns. Virna Jandiroba, I'm picking lesbian Max Holloway, lesbian Chiwiwis. I think she has good takedown defense. A lot of women are scared to go to the ground with Mackenzie Dern because she is a legit Brazilian, jiu-jitsu black belt. I think she's at least a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, has legit BJJ. But Virna Jandiroba, I just how locked in she is. Mackenzie Dern doesn't really need this, you know what I mean? Like, if Virna leaves the UFC, or when she leaves the UFC, like, what's next for her, bro? She's not really that good looking. She's Brazilian. I don't really think she speaks much English. Nobody's casting her to be in a movie or in a fucking commercial. Nobody, you're not signing up to Virna Jandiroba's OnlyFans. No offense. Mackenzie Dern, though, there's a market for that. The UFC can market her. She's also, like, 4 years younger than Virna Jandiroba. She's probably a little bit more exciting than Virna Jandiroba, too, in terms of fighting style. I know I said I wasn't really going to spend that much time on it, but I've just talked so much. Whatever. We're sticking with Virna Jandiroba. She knows that if she loses this and, is never the champ in the UFC, like, what's the point of life? Because you're not really that attractive. And nobody's booking you for jobs after you get out of the UFC. Mackenzie Dern, you have like 20, 30 years more of future ahead of you, even if you left the UFC. You don't even need a fucking fight. You know what I mean? So that's the bottom line. Virna Jandiroba is going to win. I don't give two fucks that Dana White wants Mackenzie Dern to win. And I can't wait to see Dana White's face, pissed off face, when he has to put that belt around Virna Jandiroba. That'll be the only part of that fight that I enjoy. Moving on to the main event, the UFC Heavyweight Championship. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane. Listen, I'm not going to say Ciryl Gane has no chance, but he has no chance. Might be disrespectful. I know Ciryl Gane's been working with like a new wrestling coach, and he's obviously a good kickboxer. I don't really think the new wrestling coach is going to do fucking diddly squat for him in this fight. Ciryl Gane, just when I look at him, I just see like this dude, he just has the face of a dude who doesn't want it. He looks unmotivated. Like, he just pisses me off anytime I look at him. I think Aspinall is just going to kill him. The only thing I'm worried about is if Tom loses, what's the point of life? You'll have to hear John Jones' stupid fucking tweets. Everybody trolling Tom Aspinall. Heavyweight division will be even more dead. Because Ciryl Gane, even if he somehow flukes a win, he sucks. And that means Tom Aspinall, I guess, sucks by default if he loses this. And we've been on such a run of all the good guys winning. Alex Pereira. Charles Oliveira just won. Maybe this is where the script writers flip it on us and say, Tom Aspinall, go fuck yourself. UFC fans, go fuck yourself. Ciryl Gane's going to win this, and he's going to win this by finish. That's what they want us to say. I think there are some legit questions about Tom Aspinall in terms of his gas tank. Not that I think we're going to have to worry about seeing his gas tank in this fight, because I would be stunned. I'm going to be stunned if this gets out of round one. I'd probably grab a heart attack if this went past round two. There's a better chance of Jesus Christ coming down into the middle of the octagon tomorrow and taking Dana White up with him to heaven than this fight, I think, getting out of the first round. I'm that confident it's gonna be a first round finish. Also, Tom Aspinall has his chin up a lot. His striking defense sucks. But Ciryl Gane, even though he is a good striker, I don't think it's gonna matter. Tom Aspinall is just so much faster. He's so good. You know what I mean? And fucking Ciryl Gane isn't good. We're not overlooking Ciryl Gane. What has he done to show that he could beat Tom Aspinall? Maybe he has better kickboxing, and that's really it. There's no arguments. Tom Aspinall's too fast, too athletic, such a better grappler. Ciryl Gane struggles in grappling. He got out-grappled by Francis Ngannou on one knee. John Jones really fucking embarrassed him. I get losing to Francis Ngannou and John Jones are not bad losses, but it's the way he lost to him, where he just shows no fight, and he just gets dominated. I think that the path for Ciryl Gane to winning is if he can really chop at Tom Aspinall's legs and land kicks to the body and do a good enough job on his takedown defense, maybe he prolongs this fight. But even then, I still don't think he'll win. I guess at heavyweight, there's always a puncher's chance because if you land a shot on the chin, especially with a guy like Tom Aspinall, who his defense sucks. It's no question. It not sucks. Nobody can make him pay for it, but his chin's always up. I don't think it's gonna matter though. Tom Aspinall, again, he's just so much better, and his flaws won't be exploited ever at heavyweight because we'll never see a fight with him probably go past the third round. And he's dominated every guy he's fought. And Ciryl Gane got fucking wobbled by Tai Tuivasa. And yes, you could say that was prime Tai Tuivasa, which is a fucking crazy statement to say. But Tom Aspinall would literally murder Tai Tuivasa probably within 10 seconds. And he would probably beat him. He would probably beat John Jones also. You know what I mean? Who else does this guy beat? Volkov. I mean, we've already seen what Tom Aspinall's done to Volkov. And Ciryl Gane didn't even fucking beat him. He was getting taken down by Alexander Volkov. Sergey Spivak, that's another guy who Tom Aspinall... Didn't he fight Spivak? And even if he didn't, he'd finish him in 5 seconds. Like, Tai Tuivasa, lost to Tai Tuivasa is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I just see no way Tom Aspinall loses this fight. Gane, he's just a guy who cracks under pressure. He doesn't want it enough. I think Tom Aspinall, I think, is going to be extremely motivated to absolutely dominate Ciryl Gane and kind of show the world there's levels to the fucking fight game. And does he even need to show Ciryl Gane levels? Because we all know what Ciryl Gane is. The only reason I want to see this fight go far is because I have a feeling like you're going to see the Jandiroba fight and Mackenzie Dern and just be disappointed. Who cares who wins? And then this fight's going to be over so done, and then you're going to be like, oh, well, it was really cool. Tom Aspinall got this, highlight reel finish. But you just wanted a little bit more in terms of, there was a little bit of moment of resistance. I personally don't as a Tom Aspinall fan, but I also do at the same time because I just want to see Tom Aspinall, actually fight for more than 3 minutes on my television, on my TV. I think Tom Aspinall's just going to sting Ciryl Gane early with a 1-2, land a takedown, get side controller half guard, and then just get a Kimura. And that's it. He's just going to fucking snap Ciryl Gane's arm. I could also just see him knock out Ciryl Gane. He could beat him in any way possible. He's so many levels above this guy. It's beautiful how fast he is. To be that big and that fast is special. The only reason I'd want to see this fight go to round 3 is just to see Tom Aspinall's gas tank, but we're not even going to need to worry about that because it's not going to happen. And the fact that some people on social media are pushing Ciryl Gane to fucking win this is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. He has no chance. Even me outlining the leg kick bullshit scenario, he's still not going to fucking win. Because he would have to be the greatest wrestler ever and have to just not be Ciryl Gane. If he wasn't Ciryl Gane, maybe he'd have a chance. I also wonder when Tom Aspinall wins this, because I think he said, if I win, it'll be the Volkov Almeida winner. I wonder if there'll be a Pereira call out. Or maybe like Alex Pereira. If Joe Rogan was in there, it would be like, Tom Aspinall, that was a great win, man. That was a great win. But who do you want to fight next? And then Tom Aspinall would be like, oh, I'd really like a chance to fight, Patty, not Patty Pimblett, fucking Jalton Almeida, fucking Alexander Volkov. That was a shitty British accent, but you get the point. And then Joe Rogan would be like, did you meet Patty Pimblett? And then he's going to pull Patty Pimblett in from the crowd, and we're going to get a Patty Pimblett versus Tom Aspinall standoff. That's what's really going to happen. That's the bottom line. I hope there's no mention of fucking John Jones. If Tom Aspinall somehow loses this fight, and I have to see any John Jones tweets on my timeline, you will never hear from me again. I'll shut down the channel if that happens. If Tom Aspinall loses to Ciryl Gane, I'll shut down the channel. It's not going to happen. I'm putting the channel, I'm putting the Cage Doctor, I'm putting the Cage Doctor fans, I'm putting it all on the line here because it's not going to fucking happen. Tom Aspinall, round 1 finish, at most round 2. If it goes to round 2, I'd be stunned. Again, the heavyweight division is so ass. And also, he was hinting, Tom Aspinall, I just want to end off with this. Tom Aspinall and his pops, hinting, Tom Aspinall's pops, Andy Aspinall was kind of saying, oh, I don't even want Tom Aspinall to sign a new contract. He's got 3 fights left, and then he wants to go to boxing. And then it's like, what's the point of the heavyweight division after that? You know what I mean? Heavyweight division is in such a fucking mess right now. I don't know what they're going to do. It's a disaster. But, again, who cares? Tom Aspinall, round 1 Kimura, book it. Yeah, don't think this fight's going to be close whatsoever. Sorry for kind of going off on a tangent on this fight. But I'm very passionate about my fellow Englishman, Tom Aspinall, not fellow Englishman whatsoever. But, again, that's the breakdown for UFC 321, Aspinall versus Gane. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what kind of content you guys want to see. When we get back, Christmas break, we're really going to be banging out a lot of videos. But, yeah, that's the full card breakdown. The doctor is signing off. Thanks for watching.